Oh, hello there. We didn't see you.
Welcome to drama
With Llamas.
in Pajamas.
We are the Drama Llamas. I'm Ashley.
And I'm Athanasia, and we are classical actors who have been making art together since Uber was an adjective.
We are here with you today to help bring you into the world of classical theater. We hope to teach you how to understand mostly Shakespeare, but also other classical playwrights and genres.
Remember, no one wrote a play hoping it would bore you, so we hope to help you not only understand, but to enjoy this work as well.
So, get comfy in your pajamas.
Grab your llamas,
And let's do some drama!
Friends, Romans, countrymen, lend me your ears. I come to bury Caesar, not to praise him. The evil that men do lives after them. The good is often interred with their bones. So let it be with Caesar. The noble Brutus hath told you Caesar was ambitious. If it were so, it was a grievous fault, and grievously hath Caesar answered it. Here, under leave of Brutus and the rest, for Brutus is an honorable man, so are they all honorable men, come I to speak in Caesar's funeral. He was my friend, faithful and just to me. But Brutus says he was ambitious, and Brutus is an honorable man. He hath brought many captives home to Rome, whose ransoms did the general coffers fill. Did this in Caesar seem ambitious? When that the poor have cried, Caesar hath wept. Ambition should be made of sterner stuff. Yet Brutus says he was ambitious, and Brutus is an honorable man. You all did see that on the Lupercal I thrice presented him a kingly crown, which he did thrice refuse. Was this ambition? Yet Brutus says he was ambitious, and sure he is an honorable man. I speak not to disprove what Brutus spoke, but here I am to speak what I do know. You all did love him once, not without cause. What cause withholds you then to mourn for him? O judgment, thou art fled to brutish beasts, and men have lost their reason. Bear with me. My heart is in the coffin there with Caesar, and I must pause till it come back to me.
So, Athanasia, why did you pick Mark Antony as the character to share with our audience this month?
Well, Mark Antony is the foil in Julius Caesar. Julius Caesar is the titular tragic character, but because it's a history, Shakespeare can play around. He meets his end long before Act 5. The POV characters, if you will, are Brutus and Cassius, the assassins, and the play kind of focuses on whether they're selfish or altruistic. Are they doing this for the good of Rome, or are they doing this for themselves? And Antony is just kind of aloof from all of that. He's a very unserious Roman, which, was not normal for the senatorial class. He likes to have fun. He talks about the Lupercal in this monologue, which Lupercalia was a festival that involved a lot of merriment. And later on in chronological history, after Caesar's assassination, he goes on to have an affair with Cleopatra and start a club called the Inimitables, which means unable to be imitated, that basically sat around over drinks discussing philosophy and whatnot late into the night, which, nothing wrong with that. I would probably join such a club, except that they were supposed to be conducting a war, so like focus, Antony.
Yeah.
Shakespeare's audience would have known this because they would have learned Roman history in their grammar schools, and so Antony, the class clown, now in this very serious occasion where Caesar has been stabbed to death, stands in front of all these serious senators and the literal plebes, the plebeians. That's where this phrase comes from, the common class in Rome. And they've all tried to distance them. The senators have tried to distance themselves emotionally from Caesar and just look at him as a political target. And they actually all considered themselves Caesar's friend, but they assassinated him anyway to achieve a goal because of his growing power. And Antony sees through this and sees the good sides to Caesar, sees the human side of taking someone's life and without the dry political stuff in it, and he focuses on the good qualities instead. An actor playing Antony can show all of this kind of backstory with his qualities and his perspective and his relationships with other characters through movement. It doesn't have to be articulated. We have a small camera frame that we can shoot in, but if I were playing this role on stage, which I'd love to do, I'd be leaping around. There'd probably be a set with like columns and stairs and whatever, and I'd jump on things and point at things, and when he talks about the Lupercal and the crown, I'd probably like reenact it and gesture, and there you can really get a sense of the expansiveness and energy of his character and how he kind of is snarking the more serious characters in a way that I find really life-affirming. His text drops so many Easter eggs in the poetry to show that he's just giving people attitude, and I think it's very clever that the playwright gifted us with that.
Well, that's interesting. The Easter eggs. Can you give us some examples?
Sure. So, if you remember from the iambic pentameter episode, which I wouldn't be a true nerd if I didn't tell you to go back and watch it, there are all kinds of disruptions that happen to iambic pentameter, but it's good to read a line as if the meter were regular first, because you might get a glimpse into a meaning that you wouldn't have otherwise. Friends, Romans, countrymen, lend me your ears, the very first line in this monologue, is, colloquial now. Everybody kind of knows it, even if they don't know it's Shakespeare or from this play or whatever. And if you read it with regular meter, it's friends, Romans, countrymen, lend me your ears. There's an emphasis on me. Mm-hmm. You might have noticed that I was speaking very regularly and not doing a lot of, emphasizing or shouting or pausing. That was intentional. Mm-hmm. Because there's so many messages just in the rhythm of what Antony is doing. Brutus and Cassius have had the stage for quite some time. They've had the floor. They've been portraying Caesar the way that they want to portray him, mm-hmm. to make it look like it's okay that they took his life. And Antony is very frustrated with this. He's like, okay, you're done. Get off the stage. Lend me your ears. I was his friend. This is who he really was. Like, I was his actual OG friend who, didn't pick up a dagger, guys.
Yeah.
The second Easter egg is this repeated couplet, but Brutus says he was ambitious, and Brutus is an honorable man. Or certain variations of that throughout. If you remember about expansions, they would have said ambitious in the time period. That's weird. But what I like to do to make it a 10-syllable line is to kind of hold the S, because there's been a lot of symbolism earlier on in the play talking about Caesar being a snake, and is he kind of, a backstabbing snake who's not really in it for the Roman people, and Brutus says he was ambitious. Brutus is an honorable man, like back off, you know. And he's kind of turning the tables on Brutus as if now maybe he's the untrustworthy serpent. Oh, I can't criticize him. He was a good guy, but I'm going to show you very methodically every way he was wrong. So repeating that couplet more than once is a good political strategy to get those literal plebes to be more on Antony's side and drive his point home.
Those are great Easter eggs. I especially like how you brought up the serpents, because in, I believe it was the Rhetorical Devices episode, we talk about how the mischievous serpent is such a image that they have in this play, this specific play.
It's a powerful symbol.
Yeah, it's a very powerful symbol. So the fact that it was always referred to Caesar as that to turn the tables, that's very interesting. Interesting way of saying this monologue. So everyone, or at least most people, I think, know the story of the Ides of March. What would be a new take on doing this play, or on Mark Antony, that you would have today instead of just doing a whole new story?
Well, I think there's two reasons to bring out Julius Caesar in modern times. First, this particular text is familiar. With friends, Romans, countrymen, lend me your ears. But the rest of it is not. Julius Caesar is not a play that is often performed. In fact, I, as a professional Shakespeare actor, have not seen it all the way through.
I've never seen it.
Ever. And so that would be a great way to kind of experience Shakespeare. People who know they like Shakespeare kind of know what they're getting, but you're also having a new experience at the same time.
Yeah.
But you know, this text being familiar, you know, friends, Romans, countrymen is something like we whip out at parties. It's a party trick, but it kind of hits different, you know, in terms of the monologue in light of the events of the last few years. And the story is very familiar, as you mentioned. We've had some unusual events, and we've mentioned on the drama Llamas we don't condone political violence or, you know,
violence of any kind.
Really, yeah, just, you know,
unless it's fake stage violence.
Right, exactly. Save the drama for that
llama
is the whole point. Exactly.
Yes.
But we have seen many countries over the last several years.
Oh, we don't condone violence to llamas either.
Yeah, definitely.
I just realized we were like, save thy dramas for thy llama is the whole point. We're like, we don't condone violence. No, we don't mean to do violence to your llamas. It's just, you know, save the drama for something else. You know what I mean? Not violence.
Fake violence only.
Fake violence
Thank you
only.
For that disclaimer.
Yes. I just realized as you were talking, I was like, oh, wait a minute. We don't mean violence to llamas either.
No.
No violence unless it's fake stage violence. Okay.
Yes. Okay.
All right.
So, however, many countries have been wrestling with this choice that Rome was kind of teetering on at this point. Are they going to remain fully democratic, or are they going to have some kind of a strongman leader in place? And strongman doesn't necessarily have to be a man. Like, strongman is a technical political term. But, you know, if you Google democratic backsliding, you'll see all the countries where people have been struggling with this. And so it does kind of hit different. And it makes us wonder when we look at this story and identify with one or more of the characters. And it's totally okay to identify with the character whose actions you disagree with. Because, you know, we all have good and bad, light and shadow in us, and it's how we handle our situations that matters, right? But, you know, we look at the characters that we resonate with and think about, well, what are my ideals and how far am I going to go to defend them? There are so many different concepts that a director can pull out with this play. You don't have to go full on, you know, toga with it. You could. And so there's just a lot of ways it could be part of a modern conversation. And be produced alongside some of the newer material that is and to see that just kind of, you know, how they say history might not repeat itself, but it rhymes. And Antony in particular has a more positive spin on just how he sees life in general, how he sees Rome, how he sees Caesar, and it can be a good reminder for us to maybe look for a little more of the good in people and where we can find friends.
That is a very good point. I think that's a point that should be made. Thank you so much, Athanasia, for bringing a character to us that is not so as well known as others, showing us that minor characters are just as important to a play's theme as the major ones. As they say, there are no small parts, only small actors. And while you are only 5'1", I think that you as a personality in particular fills the room. Join us next time for a closer look at the trickster spirit Ariel from Shakespeare's The Tempest. Make sure to mark the date in your planner.
Because if it's not in your planner, it doesn't exist.
And please remember, if you like our vibe,
there is that button that is called subscribe.